Hey guys, welcome back to Linda's Resin Room. So I thought I would make another clock because I found all of these little gears that I have. There's different shapes, different sizes, different colors. And I've seen people do clocks and things with these. So I thought I would give it a try. I have 4 ounces of resin here that three and a half ounces of resin. And I have put in this golden yellow epoxy pigment color. I put in 4 drops of that, and I've just been mixing it up. I also put in a little bit of this gold super sparkle from Color Passion. If you guys have never used the gold sparkle, you got to get you some. If you like the diamond crushed crystal, this is the same thing, but it's gold. So you just put just a little tiny bit in there, and then you have your little gold flakes floating around like you do the crushed crystal. I've got so many bubbles in here right now, you're probably not going to be able to see it where I've been stirring. But I'm going to get this in the debubbler, and then we will be back to make this clock. Oh, and if you notice I got a bee on my cup, let me explain why. When I get down to the bottom jars of my resin, I don't like to waste it. And there's still always some resin left in there. So if it's just a small jar and it's just a little bit in there, I use these small cups. I turn it upside down on an angle and I prop it up to where the jug can drain. And I let it drain for a couple of hours. But I mark my jar first so I know which one I have. And then once I do part A in one cup, part B in another. And then I can weigh it out by my measurements and not waste my resin. If I have a lot of part A left, then I make resin pigment paste. You guys know how I was complaining that I only had one gold pigment paste. And I have a lot of part A sitting over here that I had left from mixing resins before I started weighing it. So you take your part A, and this is my gold paste. I labeled it myself. This is just a solid color container because I got a UV dip container that I made to dip pieces. But this is, oh, I've got something green in there. This is my paste I made. So I just took my gold powder mix that I had mixed up, and you take your pigment powder, you take your part A, or you can take part B. There we go. I got that out of there. And you just mix it. And that's your pigment paste. Now when you want pigment paste, you have your own color that you've made. Isn't that pretty? And now I have my own gold. Also did the bronze one this way. And I did another. What color did I do? I don't remember. White. Pearl white. I made me a pearl white paste. Alright, let me put this back up. But anyways, guys, that's why there's a B on my cup. Because this is where I drained part B. Alright, I'll see you guys back after I get this out the debubbler. Alright, guys, so I've got it out the debubbler. Now, all I'm wanting to do is get a thin layer down in there. Because I don't want my metal pieces laying flat on the clock. I do want them kind of floating a little bit. So I thought if I could just get a thin layer of resin, then we could come back once this starts curing up and lay our first layer. And I am going to do this in layers. Okay, so that didn't take much. I've still got about 1.5 ounces left. There's no bubbles in there. There is a hair. Gotta dig that out. I do see one bubble down in there. Break him loose. You know, look in your normal places that you would get bubbles. The corners are really bad for that. Round edges. There's a hair down there too. It's on the mold. There's a bubble. Okay. Alright. I don't see any bubbles. That's on the back side of the mold. Alrighty, guys. we will let that cure up, and then we will come. I don't want it completely cured. I want it sticky cured. We will lay our pieces on it, and then we will pour it with a layer of resin, a thin layer, and then we'll lay some more, and we'll just keep layering it up. All right, guys. Now, my concern about my resin is I don't know if I've mixed it properly or not. I hope I did. But, you know, sometimes you get sidetracked. And I don't know if I put too much part A, too much part B, or if I did it correct. Because I can't remember. So, I'm going to find a flat something that I can pour that in. That way, if it does not cure, I can throw it in the freezer. Pull it out after it's frozen. Put it in a Ziploc baggie. Throw it in the freezer. Let it freeze. And then it'll pour right out from my mold. And we'll start over. If it does cure, hopefully, we'll be good to go. Alright, I'll see you guys for the next layer. I'll see you then. Alright guys, so this is cured up enough that we can move on to our second layer. You can tell it's not sticky or anything. It's still a little soft, but it's not sticky. So I've got my gears that we're just going to lay out in there. I've mixed my resin up with the same color and trying to hope that it matches in the color that I did the first layer. And guys, I'm sorry I have to do a voiceover on this part, but I don't know why my microphone, I must have just forgot to turn it on. Alright, so I've got the resin mixed up. I'm only doing 2 ounces per layer. And I have mixed it up. I've put the yellow in, and I'm just making sure that it's completely mixed. Okay. Now, I don't think I put this in the debubbler just because it's such a thin layer. Yeah, I didn't. It's such a thin layer that the bubbles will come out. It degasses very well. So I'm just pouring that in there before I put the gears in because I want to be able to drop the gears and let them kind of sink and get coated in the resin. I'm afraid if I put them in first, then the underneath will have a bubble and there won't be any resin on there. So I'm hoping doing it this way, it will prevent any bubbles. So I'm just going to get all of the resin out of this cup. You see that B on the cup? I have a tendency when my cups get to where you can't get very much out, I'll write part A, part B on 2 different cups, turn them upside down, and let them completely drain. And I leave them like that for a couple of hours, and then I come back and I know how much of each I have, and I can finish using what I have. Usually I might have a little bit of part A left, so what I can do with that is I just set it to the side in a container, and I use it to mix up pigment pastes. And that's why you see the B on the cup. Alright, so we've got all the resin out of there, and the colors look like they do match. I'm hoping you're not able to see lines between. If you let the resin completely cure, you'll be able to see lines between your layers. But if you do it when it's still a little soft and not completely cured, then you won't be able to see that line. They'll kind of blend together. But doing it this way when you're adding a color, sometimes it makes it difficult to match the color. I'm hoping I do a good job of matching the color with this piece. Okay, I'm probably off to the side fiddling with something. I got my little torch. Now the little torch I use, it's more like a lighter so it doesn't get really hot, so it doesn't really melt my mold. But I still stay clear of the edges. I don't want to press my luck as far as that goes. And I do stay up away from the mold to where the heat barely hits it. Alright, now we're going to get all of these gears. There is a bunch of different gears in here. This one is coated with green, so I want to see that green side. There's some silver ones, there's gold ones, rose gold, and I'm just placing by size and color where I want them to be. I'm going to get a dotting tool. That way I can help move them around and manipulate them to where I want them to be. And then I'm just going to continue to layer out these little gears. Now, you don't have to add too many during the first layer. I probably add more than I need because I'm doing multiple layers and you're going to see one behind the other. So I don't have to cover every single area as I lay out the gears in this first layer. I'm going to do a total of 3 layers.
And there's different sizes in here. You can see the one that I set to the side at the top because that has a hook on it. It's more for to make jewelry. So I do go through and I pick out all of those because I don't want to use those in this piece. I might want to make some jewelry out of them later. So I do want to save those pieces. If I want to use them in a piece later, then I can take and I can clip off those loops. I'm just continuing to manipulate the gears, move them where I want them. I don't put the same color beside each other because I want my color evenly distributed. So I don't want silver beside silver, and I'm just too OCD and can't take it. So that's all on me. That one kind of went down very well on its own, so I took a little tiny one because it had such a big hole in the center, and I put a little tiny one in there. And we're just going to continue. We're almost done. I'm just getting some little ones. I'm digging through them and picking out the ones I want. And I want them everywhere. So I did find some little tiny ones that I can put in those corners there. Worked perfect. And we are almost. We only need 1 or 2 more in here and we will be done. This clock's going to be so pretty. I think I'm going to take, and that one was too big, so I had to go back. And then I take and I'm going to back it in gold. I think gold will be a pretty color to back this in. And you see I threw another piece up there at the top because that's another one that it's made for a bracelet. I'm just moving them around where I can get the gears in there as I want them. I don't want them on top of each other because our next layer is going to go on top. I'm just digging around trying to find a piece that is the right size to fit into that little hole. There you see me digging out some more of those bracelet pieces. Found another little tiny one to put in that bottom corner down there. Now the other bottom corner still needs a little tiny one too. So, and there you can see I found one. Putting that down in there. I think the first layer is the most important to fill up those little gaps on those little corners, because that's what you're really going to see first. You don't want it to be empty on your first layer. I'm going around and trying to break loose any bubbles that is attached to that centerpiece there. Okay, and there's another one. Filling that little gap. Okay, and we are done. That is our first layer of gears. So, I don't remember what I was saying, but I think it looks nice. It's actually our second layer. First layer we did put a clear coat of color because we want this to be more 3D. I am using the craft resin. It's a 1-to-1 resin. It's a low viscosity resin. It cures up very nicely and it cures pretty quickly. It doesn't take a long time, maybe 4 hours, and you can do your second coat. Not like some of the other resins that I have used. Craft resin is a really clear resin, and it's a thinner resin, so it works really well, but it cures up quickly. And I think I do have a discount code in the description with a link and a discount code for craft resin or craft resin products in the description for you guys, if any of you all do use their products. I'm probably fiddling around. Alright, so I think this is ready that we can demold. It's still a little soft, but we can get it out. I like to get them out when they're still a little soft because I'm too impatient and I want to see what they look like. But I also like to get them out of the mold and let them completely cure on their own, laying on a flat surface. And this mold is so pretty. It's from InterResin. There is a discount code and a link for InterResin molds or any of their products that you can get 20% off. And that does include their sale products. And this is one of their crystal molds. I love this little mold. It is always so shiny and shimmery. It does need a little cleanup. But look at that sparkle. You don't really have to do anything to this. You just fill it up and it's good to go. It doesn't need anything else. You can see me pick off the little overflow there. A little bit more there. And usually that's not overflow. It's just where I've spilt the resin just a little bit. Made a little bubble and it's got attached to the piece. Alright. But it is very pretty, and I love the color yellow. Yellow and green are my favorite colors. But isn't that pretty? Alrighty, guys. I think that's it. So we'll see you back when this cures up, when we are ready to do the next layer. Alright, we'll see you then.
Alright, guys, so I threw a gear down in here to see if it would sink, and it stayed afloat, so I think we're ready to do our next layer. I have 47 gram of 1:1 resin. It's 22 gram of part B and 25 gram of part A. I'm just going to put a couple of drops down in here. 2, 3, 4. Yellow's pretty light. I believe I did 4. Okay, and I'm just going to mix this up. We're going to pour it out. I'm not going to heat it or anything because I can blow it around with the heat gun to get all the bubbles. All right. Just scraping the sides because, you know, the color does get on the side. Alright guys, I'm going to mix this for 3 minutes and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got it mixed up. Since I forgot to put my crushed crystal in the last layer, I am going to put just a little in this layer. Not much. That lid on that. I didn't turn the heat mat on. I just didn't take it off the heat mat. And let me tell you something about heat mats. This is the heat mat from Let's Resin, I think. Well, I have animals. I have a bearded dragon. My husband used to have snakes. And so we use reptile heating mats. It's the same thing. The silicone mat that came on the top, you can put any silicone mat. This is just a baking sheet silicone mat that I covered it over because my orange one is dirty that came with it. Or whatever color, black I think it was. I think it was black that came with it. The only difference is this one has a timer that you can attach, and the reptile heating mats do not have a timer. So you could turn it on and you could just time yourself for 2 hours and use a reptile heating mat for a whole lot cheaper. I probably shouldn't be saying that, should I? But it works. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so it doesn't matter. I can say that, right? But just to let you guys know, same thing. If you want a heat mat, little cheaper price, get you a reptile heating mat. You can get a couple of them for the price of one that's labeled as a resin heat mat. Just saying. But yeah, I couldn't believe it when I ordered it and got it in. I was like, well, this is the same thing. So since then, I've just ordered, I've got like 3 or 4 of them. I just ordered the reptile heating mats. And I use those sometimes too. But if you do want a heat mat and you want to save some money, go that route. Alright, let's drip that off. I'm going to take the heat gun to this before I start adding stuff to it. Just because there's quite a few micro bubbles in there. I don't want it to get them trapped under my gears. Oh, I think I might have it tangled. There we go. Alright, I'm just going to blow this around just a minute. Don't do it too long or you can risk flash cure. I'm just going to blow it around enough to get out some of those micro bubbles. And that's it. Like I said, it just takes a second. Now, let's find us some more gears to put in here. That one's a green one. Let's put a green one up here. I need my blotting tool. I want some resin to get down in the inside of this. Even though I know the next layer is what's going to cover it in there, I just want some of the same color. And I'm just creating bubbles. Alright, I think I got him coated. There we go. Okay. Let's see, let's put a silver one there. This is kind of a dark color. Let's put that down there. There's a big silver. I need some silver colors, don't I? And there's a rose gold looking. There's a little gold. Has little hearts. Oh, I should have put one inside the hem. Let's put that there. Okay. That's a neat shape. I really don't want gold on top, silver on top of silver though. Put that there. There's another one of those. Put that one there. There's some really neat different colors here. Different shapes, different colors. Put a big one right there. Top of that. Another little one there. I don't want gold on top of gold. Put a that there. I wonder if I've got a different color. Ooh, I like that one. Let's stick him between those. How about that? Like I said, we don't need as many on this layer as we did the first, but I do want them to be all these little areas covered over. I don't want that color there. There's another one of those. I like that little one. Put him here. I've got another little one in here somewhere. There's a silver one. I think that'll look good there. And there's a little silver one. Let's put him between those. Alright guys, I feel like I need one more down here. I don't want to put two of the same beside of each other. What about this one? That one's kind of cool. Put that there. And I feel like I need one over here. So, drop that there. I think we'll do one more layer since this is so thin. And I've got plenty of room still to do a back. Okay, that's cured. Just want to make sure I'm not going to stick my arm in it. I think we'll do one more layer. So I've got plenty of different. There's a green. I think we could stick that right there. I kind of wanted more over this way though. Move that over there. There we go. Got it fixed up. Should I put one down here? Maybe there. And I feel like I need a little tiny one. Kind of in here, maybe. I feel like maybe one there too. Let's see if we can find another little bitty one. I've just seen one. Where'd it go? There he is. Little silver one right there. See, I've got some space here that I don't want. So maybe if I do this, like that. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. And we will let this cure up. There's another jewelry piece. The jewelry ones I don't want to use just because they have loops. And it kind of throws off my design. So I guess that's why I'm trying to avoid those. I don't want to accidentally throw one of those in there and then notice it and be like, oh, I better dig it out. I think I got them. Nope, there's another one. There's another one. I could trim those off if I wanted to. We'll see. Alright, we'll let that cure up and come back for a third layer. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, this is cured somewhat. I'm worried that when I drop the gears in there, they're all going to sink on top of the others, because I did drop one in there an hour or two ago and it just kind of sank. So I went ahead and I did mix up another 47 gram of resin. I put 4 drops of my color just like I did previous layers, and I put a little bit of the crushed crystal. I just don't have time to wait for this to completely cure because I've got to work tomorrow. And I at least want to get this layer in tonight. If I wait, I'm afraid that I'll see the layers. So I'm hoping this will hold this resin on top here and won't sink. And then all we'll have to do tomorrow is put in a backing. And I'm not quite sure what backing I want to do. Oh, I was thinking of gold backing. I thought gold would be pretty. Alright, let that drip off a little bit there. And now let's scrape this cup. Go all the way around it. Okay, got that finished dripping. I'm going to clean this stick off and put it to the side over there. I don't want to add heat with my heat gun to get these bubbles out, just because of I'm afraid that it will undo the layer underneath it. So we'll just do that for just a little bit. Now let's see if we can start putting these on, and hopefully they stay in between layers. I don't want to put another gold on top of that. I don't want all the same color on the thing there either. Let's see. Here's a multicolor one. I'm looking. I think I'll put that one there. It kind of stands up anyways. Oh, here's a rose gold. That's pretty. Here's a rose gold. Put that there. There's a silver. Got a gold one there. I think he needs a silver. What do you think? This is a huge silver one. We can put there. Sticking my fingers in it a little bit. Okay. Oh, kind of got stuck on me. I think it's stuck in the layer beneath. There we go. I think they'll stay afloat enough to make it look pretty. Trying to get another little one over in these corners. Put that one there. They are kind of sinking on top of the others, but I think it's still going to be okay. Okay. And let's kind of get some different colors here. Now I seen where I needed to put this. I think right there. Yeah, I think they're still going to look good on top of each other like that, because they're not directly on top of each other, but I don't know, they might be. Some are, some aren't, you know? Okay. Just trying to cover all these little holes that I do see that I feel like could use just a little something. I hope my head's not getting in you guys' way. I'm going to put that right in the middle of that one. Now see, that one's kind of staying afloat. I don't know. Some are, some aren't. No problem. Alright guys, anything else you think that I should add somewhere? I think that looks pretty good. I think I'll add a little silver one there. You may not even see it. It just seemed like it was lacking. Do I have another little baby one? Nope. That's all. Thought about adding one there. Maybe that there. That one's kind of staying afloat. Alright guys, I think that looks good. I'm going to let that cure up and then we will come back and we will do a top coat on this. So I'm just going to pick up all my extra gears I have left. I did use quite a few in that. Probably more than it needed, but eh. Alright. And our tray, it's completely hardened up. Alright guys, we'll let this cure up. Be tomorrow and I will come back, and I don't see any bubbles, so it's degassed very well. But we'll let this cure up. I'll come back tomorrow, we'll put a backing on it and have this thing done soon. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so this is cured up. So I've got 4 ounces of resin in my cup. I haven't mixed it yet. I did clean my stick off. I have my gold paste that I made that we're going to put for the backing. So I'm just going to stir this up just in case it has settled in there. And I made this, this is a very heavy paste. It's highly pigmented, so I shouldn't need a lot. Whew. I'm just going to take that, what's on the stick. Yeah, I've seen that sling somewhere. Just making sure it's not on my shirt. I'm already dressed for work. Alright. Mix this up. And there is that. Pretty. I think that'll make a lovely background. I just hope it doesn't take away too much. You know what? I might add a little brown in there. I don't want it to take away from my gears. So, and it kind of looks around the same color. This is just the Pearl X by Jacquard dark brown. I'm not going to put a lot, just a little tiny bit in there. See if I can tone the gold down to a different shade. Maybe kind of darken it up a little bit. There we go. I think that's darkened it, don't you? Made it a little darker without taking away from the gold. Okay. I'm just going to finish mixing this, guys, throw it in the debubbler, and then we'll be back and pour it in. I'll see you in just a moment. Alright guys, I just got this out of the debubbler. So let's pour it in and hope 4 ounces is enough to fill this up. I'm sure it will be. It is completely cured. I don't like my layers to completely cure if I'm using the same color, because I don't want to be able to see a line through them. And where I was mixing up yellow both times on this, I hope that the yellow was mixed up the same, because that can also show you distinction between the colors that I used. Okay. Yeah, 4 ounces is plenty. Now to me this table's a little off. It says it's level, but I have too many issues with everything else to say that this is level. I just don't want to overflow it. There we go. And see, that doesn't need over there, but I think it does need maybe a little here. And I just dripped, like always. All right, 1.5 ounces. We're going to pour him into the turtle. I should fill this up. This is a handmade mold from Into Resin. If you buy their molds, there is a 20% discount code in the description and a link to their website. And it does work on the sale molds also. Okay. With handmade molds, you usually don't need to dome them, or you're just going to have a lot more trimming to do. So he is full. Alright, I'm going to turn that cup upside down and let that drain today. I'm going to clean this stick off. And that is it, guys. We will let these cure up today. When I get off from work this afternoon, they should be ready to demold and see how our clock turned out. I see some bubbles coming up in this, even though I put it through the debubbler. There's a lot of little intricate areas down in there. So if they're getting down in there, the bubbles will come up. I might just need to spritz them with a little alcohol before I leave for work. So I'm already 10 minutes later than what I usually am when I leave. But if anybody knows me, you will know that I'm always an hour and a half early for work. I just like to prep my charts before the day. Okay. Alright guys, let's just, my 99% isopropyl. I'm just going to give it a little spritz. Hopefully that will pop any bubbles that come up. And I'll see you guys back for the demold. I'll see you then. Alright guys, so this is cured up. So let's demold it. And sorry, I've got glitter everywhere. I got some molds and there was a free pack of glitter in there that was opened. So I've got glitter everywhere. Alright, let's do our turtle first. It's got a little overage. I'm going to have to clean up there once he completely cures, but I love that turtle. Alright, and we've already seen that because we cured that earlier. Let's see how our clock looks. Got a little bit I'm going to have to clean up on him too. This I used the Hay Clear resin for the last layer. I like the Hay Clear resin. It's a cheaper resin. It has a very long work time. Stays thin forever. Not good for blooms. Takes a long time to cure. That's why it's still just a little bit soft, even though this has been about 10 hours since I poured it. So, but anyways, let's see what our clock looks. Okay, that's pretty. You can see the different layers in there. You don't see any lines, so my color blended very well. That is awesome. I'll do a gold. Ow! I got a piece of resin under my fingernail. I'll do a gold clock face. I probably should already have that out, right? I'm not prepared. Well, guys, I'll find it. I'll put it in the picture with the gold clock face on it. Alright, I do like that. I love the shape of this clock. Alright, I'll see you guys back for the next video. I'll see you then.